Liberal Senator and Minister for Women's Economic Security, Jane Hume, joins us now. Jane, will your government commit to implementing all of Kate Jenkins' recommendations?
Carrie, thanks for having me on the show tonight. There were 28 recommendations that were brought down by the Jenkins review. Some of the revelations in that review were really quite shocking, quite confronting and very disappointing, I think, too. I'm very proud to be part of the government that initiated that review, which was done with cross-party support, and that's how we will approach the 28 recommendations too. We'll consult, we'll set up a task force, which is one of the recommendations itself, and consult with other parties because we need to get buy-in from both the opposition and from the crossbench to create that systemic change that's going to lead to culture change in this building.
Sorry, are they not already bought in? I mean, everyone I'm hearing in the parliament seems to want the recommendations implemented. Isn't it just go time?
No, I think that some of the implications of the recommendations are quite far-reaching, and we want to make sure that each one of those is fully understood, is interpreted correctly. This is a very big and comprehensive review. We want to make sure that this is done right, because that's how you create that systemic change.
Are you in favour of more sitting days, Jane, so we can implement these recommendations as quickly as possible?
No, we spend about 20 weeks a year up here, Peter, and that's a lot of time away from home and away from families. I think it probably gets the balance about right. There should be time to implement all these recommendations, certainly before the next election.
Just to be clear, you've just said it will take a lot of work. You're looking at 10 sitting days in the next 8 months. That's just not enough time to do the work, right?
Well, that's not true. In fact, we don't just work in sitting days. We work in non-sitting days as well, and that's when a lot of the work actually gets done.
Could I just be clear, though? You've said there's a lot to work through in how you implement, but as a matter of principle, are you committed to implementing all 28 recommendations?
Well, we're committing to implementing the Jenkins review and making sure that we fully understand the implications of all 28 of those recommendations.
Jane, one of the recommendations was around gender balance in Parliament, and I know you've said today you're not in favour of quotas. So how are you going to achieve that?
Well, I am in favour of gender balance, don't get me wrong. I just think that there are other ways of going about it, and the Jenkins review recommended targets for gender balance. I think that's a terrific thing, but quotas are a different proposition. I do think that the Liberal Party could do more to improve its female representation, and we're doing just that. In fact, in 2019, 50% of the people that were elected to the House of Representatives were female, and I am absolutely certain we have some very good quality candidates that will be coming through in the 2022 election as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing the gender balance improve.
You spoke about targets there, gender targets. Yeah. Your own boss, Scott Morrison, you'll be well familiar with the fact that he often says in the context of climate change that targets are meaningless without a policy that details exactly how you're going to get there. I presume the same logic holds here. What's the specific policy that you will implement in order to get to the target?
Well, actually, we did have a policy that we wanted to see 50% gender balance by 2025. Now, I look at the numbers in the Liberal Party and don't think we're going to quite get there, not at a state and federal level, although I think the federal parliament is certainly leading the way. We're pre-selecting some fantastic female candidates right now that have a really good chance of winning in some safe and marginal seats.
But that's just a target. I'm asking about the policy to realise that target. What is it?
Yeah, that's one of the problems, I think, is that, our Liberal Party is also a federation of states, and we need to make sure that each of the state divisions is on board with those targets and has its own plan to deliver more women into Parliament.
Just before we let you go on a different issue, your government announced an inquiry into the impacts of social media today, which seems a curious thing to do. Why do we need another inquiry when you've had Congress in the United States go over this multiple times, grill Mark Zuckerberg, which I imagine you're not going to have the opportunity to do? What are we going to learn that we haven't already heard before?
Well, actually, this builds on the good work that we've already done. We announced this week that we were going to legislate to unmask those anonymous online trolls when they defame people online. This next step is an inquiry to better understand the effects of online trolling, and it will report in February. So it's going to be a very quick inquiry, but it's going to be a very deep inquiry, and I think it's going to be extremely helpful to find those legislative solutions to a problem that so many people face.
Well, Jane, all eyes are on you guys at the moment, so good luck with it all, and let's hope we can see some change soon.
Thanks for having me tonight.